Got into Hemsworth's chef, who cooked me kangaroo, believe it or not. After 2 days, I mean, look, my arms are half the size of his. What's up, everybody? Chris Pratt here. Men's Health has asked me to tell you everything that I eat, so let's dig in.
Is Chris Pratt natty or not? In today's video, I'm going to go over Chris Pratt's transformation through Men's Health. I'm going to give my reaction and my take on it, and I'm going to answer the question, in my opinion, is he in fact natural or not? If that sounds like something you might be interested in, let's just hop right into it. So as you know, these celebrities go through great lengths to change their bodies in short periods of time, and a lot of them love to give these stories on how they're the hardest worker in the room. They eat the healthiest diets, chicken, broccoli, and rice. So I'm just going to go over this Men's Health article and see if Chris Pratt follows that same fake natty energy, or F&E if you will. So let's just see what he has to say.
I've always wanted to have the career I have right now, and a big part of that was just taking this body that I live in and tuning it up. From Andy on Parks and Rec all the way up till now, where I'm playing Owen in Jurassic World, or Star-Lord, or James Reese on the Terminal List. It's kind of a spectrum you can live on, and that is really, to me, kind of a health spectrum too, because when I was Andy, I was pretty unhealthy. I can't believe that I would eat 5 cheeseburgers for lunch. I lived in like a constant state of, oh God, I'm freaking sick of eating so much.
So Chris Pratt used to be insanely overweight, and watching him make this change over to Star-Lord from Andy to Parks and Rec is quite honestly insane. I can't even believe he'd eat 5 cheeseburgers. I can't even do that in a whole week.
And that was happiness at that time. And now it's the exact opposite. Now eating is boring, but the times between eating, I feel great.
So that's the problem with a lot of people, and that's why obesity occurs. We form these relationships and bonds with artificial things like food. It creates eating disorders, and that's our coping mechanism for a lot of people. So it's awesome that he found different ways in order to cope with his problems and find other ways of enjoyment.
Whereas before, eating was fun, but the times between, I felt like crap. Has it gotten harder? And the answer to that is yes and no. The first transformation of my body to become Star-Lord was the hardest because I had the furthest to go. I was about almost 300 pounds and never really thought that I would ever be considered a candidate to play one of these sort of action hero kind of roles. It sucks at first, but soon you kind of realize that you feel better emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually.
So losing that much weight does take quite a bit of time, but when you are that much weight, it is a little easier to just lose more weight at once, if that makes sense. But he did gain a little bit of muscle mass, but he didn't keep all that muscle mass that he had. He lost a lot of weight. So it'd be one thing if he just lost a bunch of weight and kept a lot of muscle, but he did lose a lot of size, which is a good indication of being natural in some cases.
So that requires some sacrifice. You don't get to eat as much as you'd like, you don't get to party as much as you'd like, you get to work out a little more than you'd probably like. But the reason it gets harder is I'm getting a little older. My body doesn't recover quite as quickly, but you know, I'm healthy. Healthiest I have ever been.
So the one thing I will say is, Chris isn't giving the stereotypical Men's Health responses where, oh, I'd work out 3 times a day, and then I'd use the power plate for recovery. Like, these are all very legitimate answers. He's not getting enough recovery time because he's getting older. And I'm not sure if Men's Health is actually liking his responses here, because these are just normal responses that a normal human being would say. He's being very open and honest about everything, which I really enjoy.
I've ever been. I'm under no illusion that I have what it takes to be a Navy SEAL. Very few people on the planet do. That's why they're so tough. So playing James Reese and playing a commander of Navy SEALs, to me, I had to at least try to create the illusion that I could be someone capable of that. So there's a certain physicality that goes.
Now, one thing I like to mention, do they have a motive to hop on steroids? Well, if he is trying to get a part, to get a lot of money, that could be a good motive for him to hop on sauce. You know, just trying to play devil's advocate here.
With that. For me, actually, it was really about just kind of trying to trim body fat. So I did something called intermittent fasting, and I ate from like noon to about 6 p.m. That was my window to eat.
So he's not giving a bullshit answer. These are legitimate ways to lose weight. Intermittent fasting can be a great tool to lose weight. I did that when I was doing my cut. Now, the only problem with intermittent fasting is, right when you wake up in the morning time, that's the first time you can gain the most muscle through the protein synthesis, is right when you wake up. Another problem with intermittent fasting could be an eating disorder. You could create an eating disorder by doing this, but intermittent fasting is a great way to limit calorie consumption. However, another negative to intermittent fasting is once you get to that time period, you could just get into caloric surplus after you pass that 6 p.m. mark, but as long as you're in that deficit, then you will lose the weight.
And what did I eat in that time? Pretty much just healthy, boring stuff. There was a lot of chicken breasts, there was a lot of lean protein, a lot of vegetables. I might have like corn tortillas with some eggs, a lot of avocado, good, clean, healthy fats, tons of coffee, black. I'm like a cowboy, you know? I drink my coffee black.
So Pratt actually has a really good diet. It's not your stereotypical Michael B. Jordan chicken, broccoli, and rice, fake Natty Supreme diet. So this is definitely, in my opinion, leaning towards the realm of him doing it naturally. Again, he could be on steroids, but I'm just leaning in that direction because I can really appreciate the honesty he's saying with his answers.
Periodically, you gotta treat yourself with a cheat meal. And so for me, it's desserts, man. I go to my mother-in-law's house for Sunday family dinner and I just go crazy on the desserts. And that's everything from ice cream and cookies, cake, pie. And I do about 7 days worth of damage. And I take about 7 days to pay that off and at the end, get right into it. So I guess here.
So the whole point of a diet is supposed to be a lifestyle. You're not going to create a good, sustainable diet if you're not treating yourself. Cheat meals are a great way to do so, but they emphasis on a cheat meal. It can't be a cheat day because you're going to ruin the amount of progress that you do throughout the week. So for the rest of the episode, they just kind of ask him random trivia questions. I'm guessing they weren't getting enough interesting stuff from him talking about his very realistic diet and exercise routine. But my final conclusion, I think he's natty. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think he's natty. I think 90% of these superhero transformations are enhanced because they don't. I mean, the main reason is the answers that they give. The Rock is the hardest worker in the room. Michael B. Jordan is the chicken, broccoli, and rice. They're not sustainable, and they're very just sketchy diets. You know, they act like they're better than everyone else. Where Chris Pratt here is just, he's giving very realistic, very, yeah, look guys, I'm getting old, you know, I gotta put in the work answers. So that's why I believe Chris Pratt is in fact natural. So I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.